Welcome back. This is our second conversation for this morning, and it's all about a book launch. And I will tell you more about that book launch shortly. But first, we have to introduce our guests. We have Dr. Carol Babb, who's no stranger to our Open Your Eyes morning show, and she's the author of this book. And we have Ashley Rodriguez, who's a teacher at St. Martin's de Porres School. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. And when I saw your name on the rundown this morning, it didn't say what book or what kind of book, but I said immediately this has to do something with finance and financial literacy.
You know it, Paul.
Yeah, of course.
We could make a pretty good guess.
Yeah, so I was on the money.
Right, you were on the money. You won a prize.
Yeah, great. Perhaps it's a book. Now, let's talk a bit about the book.
Okay, so this is the third book that I am authoring, and it's all about financial literacy, teaching people how to manage and to become financially independent. The name of this third book is Jacito Learns to Budget. Budgeting is an important part of financial literacy. Many people don't budget, and then when you don't budget, you wonder where your money is or where your money has gone. So budgeting is important. It helps you to know where your money is going. It helps you with saving. It helps you to decide what you can or cannot afford. And it also helps you to develop financial stability, financial independence.
Okay.
People who don't budget, after their money is done,
they want to know.
They want to pay me money. They pay must thief my money, and you know all of that. They start to
blame. And not get paid enough.
And not get paid enough. And yes, things are expensive, but they blame everybody except the person who should be blamed themselves.
So what will Jacinta teach us in this book?
Okay, it's Jacito.
Jacito.
So it's my grandson. The story, the third of the series. The Jacito
is Jacito.
Right, but his name is Jace. And his paternal grandmother is Spanish from Peru.
Okay,
and she calls him Jacito, meaning little Jace.
Yeah, okay.
And so Jacito is learning to budget. He wants to have financial independence, and this loving grandmother, me, is teaching him how to budget. So,
what's the first thing you teach him about how to budget?
I told him first, you have to have a plan, right? It's a financial plan. And then in the book, you will see examples of this budget. This plan has two parts, income, expenses. And so the income, you must list every money that you make, even your side hustle. So Jacito knows what's a side hustle. In the storybook, I told him if you want things that are not needs, but are wants, then maybe you need a side hustle. He said, but that sounds like a bad word. It's not a bad word. Side hustle means it's a job that you have in addition to your primary job. So Jacito is worried. He was worried because he said, what if I want to give my mom a Tory Birch bag? Because I said to him, well, that is not a need. It's a want. But however, if you pay attention to your needs and you are saving, which is a must, you may have extra money, and if you don't, then get a side hustle, if you can afford it. So budgeting helps you to determine what you can or cannot afford. So if you make your budget, Paul, before you get paid, because people think about budget when the money done. It has to be before you get paid.
After you don't spend your while spending the budget, the rest, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So make the budget before you spend. So when you go to the stores, if you go to Mirab, you will know, you know what, that is not in my budget. I can't afford it.
Or I only have $50 for entertainment.
Only $50 for an entertainment. So it lets you stay in your league, then stay in your lane about what you can or cannot afford.
Okay, so we have Ashley with us, and he is a teacher. Let's talk a bit about your interaction with the book and financial literacy with your students.
Okay, well, first off, what the country and central bank is trying to do is they're trying this national financial inclusion strategy, where they're trying to get more Belizeans, everybody from every corner of the nation, to have easy access to financial institutions. And one of the ways they could try to build these skills and allow people to be more financially stable is through education as well. And so recently I just did a workshop on financial literacy and how we could start educating our kids. And so Ministry of Education has created a curriculum, well, a part of the Belizean Studies curriculum, a strand that focuses mainly on financial literacy, right? And so to break, you'd say, the generational curse, where you find that people can't budget, they don't know how to manage their finances, right? We try to develop these skills from a young age, right? And that's through education and us as teachers imparting that knowledge on our kids. Now the storybook, Jacita Learns to Budget, comes in handy, right? Because as teachers, we always need a lot of resources for our lessons. So Jacita comes in and we can use that in our classrooms. The storybook does not only focus on financial literacy, but it's a storybook that is localized, where the kids can relate to it. And that is one of the things we have to do as teachers, relate our topics, our lessons to real life, to see how the kids will use it. They're not just learning it for learning its sake, but they want to see, or they need to know how it will benefit them in the future. Now, Jacita Learns to Budget does not only show them the plan and where their money goes and savings, but it also shows them the difference between a need and a want, right? And it's something that we could instill in our kids from a very, very young age, right?
I imagine you as a teacher observe that in these kids when it's break time and they want a candy or they want a chips, but they need some water instead. Are these examples of things where these kids, as a teacher, you would observe them having to make these decisions?
They would, instead of water, they want Ideal or Milky Way Ideal, right? And then they would come to classroom and say that they're thirsty. You know, putting the money to what they need instead of what they want, you know? And then being able to also put the money towards other things instead of just spending it all, right? I had a kid in my class last year who he had like side hustles, right? Where he would help the handyman at our school, and he'd made a little cash. And he came and he said, "Teacher, well, I didn't spend the money. I put it in my drawer," right? And so in that case, I was so pleased. I felt so good to see that we could really start this from a young age, you know? And so then after this, every generation that comes after, we don't have to have where people are struggling, right? And they can't budget properly, and then every generation that comes after, they can be more financially stable because we have developed the skills from a young age and build that foundation through education.
Dr. Babb, what's the biggest challenge that we have as humans that prevents us from budgeting, though it seems like a no-brainer?
One of the things I always say, that when I was younger, when I was a child growing up, I know the only thing I know about money is to be spent. So when they give me money, burn my hand, it seems, and I want to spend it. But it's because I was not taught to manage my money. I was not taught to save. We can change this generational curse, as Ashley said. But we have to teach children, and we have to be examples and model for them too.
Absolutely.
Because too many times we want them, oh, do this, do that, and we do the opposite. So we have to model as teachers. I listened to Ashley just now, and I'm very proud of that child that has side hustles. It's not a bad word, it's something good. In this day and age, Paul, you must have your side hustle too, I don't know, but we're not getting into that. Right, so, but what we want to tell children, it's risky to leave your money at home. The second Jacita book talks about opening an account at Holy Redeemer Credit Union and all the benefits. It's risky to leave your money at home because it might be stolen. Secondly, when your money is at Holy Redeemer Credit Union, it grows, you get dividend, and there are other benefits for children. They can access the Henry Charles Educational Grant as a member. And so I met Ashley at this training, and like, I think it's called Divine Intervention. He sings the song that I want him to sing without even knowing. And I didn't prepare him at all. We didn't even practice.
Yeah.
And when I met him, I'm like, I was almost in tears, and I just went and I hugged him. I said, you need to work with me. Together we can ensure that this next generation of children become financially literate. And I also want to say, I'm a teacher by profession. I was a classroom teacher, principal, general manager, I gone through the whole rank, chief education officer. But we need to ensure that children get this knowledge and this skill at an early age. 0 to 8 is the formative years. Whenever you want to teach children any good thing, because they develop bad things too, but good things. And I'm hoping parents are listening. This is the optimal time to teach them to save. Get a piggy bank for them. Encourage them to work, to save. The first JCTA book focuses on the value of work. JCTA wanted a tablet, and his grandmother said, you're going to work for it. He said, but I don't have a job, but you have family members who can give you chores. Let them work for what they want. If we don't teach children the value of work, they come up to be beggars. They believe that things should be handed out. Entitled. And so this generational curse, financial literacy, is good for the country. The Prime Minister, he applauded my first job, but I want to tell him, Prime Minister, Minister of Education, this must be a must in every school if we want to change the economic landscape. Many people are out there, Paul, who are not poor because they don't earn good money. They are poor because of their poor financial decisions.
And a part of it is also our behavior, spending behavior.
Discipline, we lack the discipline.
Needs to change. A lot of these issues are behavioral, but how child-friendly is the book? I mean, it's speaking to a child, of course. Does that make it even more child-friendly in the classroom?
It's more child-friendly because it involves a child. It's the character is a little boy, a Belizean boy. And then if you would go through the storybook, there is a section where it has a plan, where it has what he's putting his money, every single coin towards. And it's relatable to what kids would want to spend on. You know, they would have a certain amount of money towards snacks and so forth. Right there in the income and the expenses.
I see charts, I see some graphs. That's very understandable. Yeah. So who did the artwork for you?
The artwork was done by my cousin. She's a Belizean. She's a teacher too. So she localized it, as Paul said. It's Belizean and it's relatable. Children can relate to it, you know.
So is this book now accessible for persons to purchase?
The book will be launched on Saturday. The other 2 books are available. Right now, if you go to HRC, you can get a copy of that book at no charge.
Wonderful.
Right.
Is it your hope that this book or this series would become a part of our curriculum?
I have approached the Minister of Education. I've also spoken to the Governor of the Central Bank, and I'm waiting for them to respond to me because I'm asking them to make it become a book available in our schools. In addition to that, in this story, there is also another topic that was touched very briefly. The grandmother asked JCTA, he said, how come you know all these terminologies? Because as a teacher, Ashley will tell you, we don't tell children things, we elicit. We draw it from them, so that if you draw it from them, they will remember it longer. And the child said, oh, it's because I read every day. My parents read with me 20 minutes a day, and that is why my vocabulary is growing, and that's why I'm able to understand so many things. So it also talks about the value of reading, which is so important.
Literacy in general.
Literacy in general.
It touches on Belizean studies and financial literacy, but it can also be linked back to language arts because it's a story.
Yeah, and the thing is, for me personally, I don't think I heard the word budget until maybe in my teens.
Correct.
When you started making money?
In my adult years, then I heard the word budget. But then it did not take me until in my early 30s for me to actually start to budget and understand the benefits of budgeting. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if I start budget from I was a teenager, I would have had a lot of money saved up, perhaps even in credit union as well.
Right.
And so I think that's why it's so important for our kids to grasp this concept from early. So that when whether you make $10 or $10,000, you're spending it in the right way.
And I also want to say that it's International Credit Union Day today. I'm not going to delve into it because my colleagues are out there and I don't want to steal their thunder. But I went across the country and I did like 8 formations of police officers. And I was shocked to know that many of them do not know the value of a credit union. So again, you know, so that's one of the things that the central bank is doing too. Financial inclusion, making the citizenry aware of the banks and the credit unions and their values. So.
And we need to start get some adults more engaged in these conversations as well, apart from the kids. That's another conversation for another day, but you're talking about...
I also want to say, too, this is something very important. If employers want to have productive employees in their workplace, they must ensure that they become financially literate. Nobody who is broke will be the most productive person in
always
your
a worry
workplace.
about money.
I love how you said it. Nobody were broke.
But I
Be
say
productive.
because imagine if you owe courts, you don't know if they are when they are come for the refrigerator, I wonder if BN may cut me out of their water. No, can they focus? No. So it's a responsibility for them to help their employees to become financially literate for themselves and for the workplace to ensure that there's productivity.
And I agree with you. That's why I mentioned earlier in the segment that a lot of persons who are not financially literate, their first response to solving their financial problems is to make more money or is to have more money. How can I figure this out? I just need more money and money will solve all my problems. But that's totally incorrect because as the saying goes, the more money you make, the more problems you have too. But if you learn how to budget it, you might just
learn to manage it.
It becomes a solution. All right, so the book launch is on Saturday morning.
At 8:30
Is the public invited to be a part of it, or?
We have limited space for the book launch, but on that day, we're also having HRCU is having an open day, and Darren, who will join us, join you all shortly, will explain more about that.
Excellent.
All right.
Well.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This has been such a wonderful conversation, and we look forward to getting our hands on the book as well. And as you mentioned, Dr. Babb, the first 2 books are already available. You can get them for free when you stop at the Holy Redeemer Credit Union.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you, and we hope to see you at the open day at HRCU.
Indeed, thanks for the
And so you are both invited to the launch.
Thank you.
And the launch begins at 8:30 a.m.
Earlier than money, I forgot tacos or meat pie.
Yeah, we have snacks.
Okay, that works. We'll take another quick break, and when we come back, as Dr. Babb mentioned, the conversation continues into celebrating World Credit Union Day.